Morning. My name's Tom. I'm the social media manager at Age UK. I'm going to talk to you this morning about how to start your social media. I'm just going to give you a few tips on both Twitter and Facebook on how to make the most of when you start up your channels, and what you can be doing to maximize the time you spend on social media. Firstly, just a few reasons as to why you should use social media. It's a great way to reach new local audiences, ranging from beneficiaries to fundraisers to corporate partners. They're all on social media. They've all got active accounts, so you should as well. Secondly, it's a great way of raising awareness of the work you're doing as a charity. You're all working really hard in your local areas, so you might as well be showing this off to everyone in your local area. And thirdly, it's a great way of immersing yourself in your local community. Councils, businesses, all of them are part of a conversation, all chatting to each other all day on social. So you need to make sure that you're part of that conversation too. I get quite a few questions from local partners asking what platform is right for them in terms of, I know a lot of times, time you've got to spend on social media is a key issue. So I always say that the two main ones you should be looking at are Facebook and Twitter. If your time is really limited, I would always go with starting a Twitter account rather than a Facebook page, just because organically it's a lot easier to set up and run an active Twitter account than it is a Facebook page, just in terms of how much budget you have and how much time you've got. It's much easier to put together some really engaging tweets than it is to put together some really engaging Facebook posts and get that seen by a lot of people. So, my first Twitter tip once you've started your Twitter account is start following people. Follow all the local Age UKs that are on there, start chatting to them, start having conversations with them. Follow all local businesses that you work with already, local councils, local MPs, anything like that. Everyone in your local area, just start following them. They'll all get a notification that you started following them. Hopefully, they'll follow you back, and then you can start conversing with them on social. Secondly, to get your content out there instead of relying on your organic audience, on your followers, I would suggest utilizing trending hashtags every day. Every week there are same hashtags. So on Monday you've got Monday motivation, Tuesday you've got Tuesday thoughts, Wednesday wisdom, so forth. It's a great way of getting your content out there in front of people who don't already follow you. It's really simple, and also I know a lot of you don't have a lot of time to spend on social, so it's a great way at the beginning of the week just to put together some tweets around some work that you're doing and get those out there using those weekly hashtags. And thirdly, keyword searches. This is a great way of discovering who is talking about your key topics and how they're talking about it. It does take a bit longer to get through, because there's a lot of, sometimes there's a lot of content around pensions and things like that, but a lot of people don't utilize the advanced search feature on Twitter, where you can actually go and look through specific dates, regions, and different accounts. So you can really get a lot of information out around your key topics. Once you know how people are talking about it and what the kind of general consensus is around your topics, you'll then be in a much better position to base what content you put out on those channels. My first Facebook tip, if you had a Facebook page, is make sure you get all your page information up to date. Add everything into your about section. Have 3 or 4 posts already up there. Make sure that you have everything correct in there, including your telephone number, your web address, everything like that. Because once people start finding your page, they're going to start looking for contact details. If they're not all up to date or they look incorrect, they won't think that it's a proper page and that it's not one that's active. My second tip would be populate your page before you start promoting it to anyone. Make sure that you've put stuff up there around your work, what you do, what kind of services you offer in the local area. Don't start promoting your page until you have content on there, so that when people do find it, it looks like an active page that's been engaged with, and there's also some content for them to already look at. My third tip after that would then be to promote your page. I don't just mean online, although it's always good to mention in email footers that you are on the social. It's also good to cross promote. So if you have both Twitter and Facebook, let the others know that you both have those accounts. But have things around your local Age UKs, have little signs up, have little cards saying follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook. People who look at your Facebook accounts will then talk to other people and say, oh, I saw this thing on so and so's Facebook page, you should go and check it out, I think you'd really like it. Word of mouth can make a massive difference in terms of getting more followers, getting more likes on your page. I just wanted to talk a bit about Facebook Donate as well, because I get a lot of questions from local partners around Facebook Donate and what they can do. There is, I think I've put together a small guide on the hub around how to set it up, but the best place to go is the link that I've put at the top there, which I can make available afterwards. It is a bit time consuming to set up. It does take quite a while. There are lots of different hoops you have to jump through for Facebook in terms of, I think you have to give them a bank statement, you have to give them your charity number, they need the contact details of your CEO. But once it's all done, it is really worth it. The donate button is useful on Facebook, but I think what I would suggest local partners could utilize most in terms of fundraising aspects on Facebook is Facebook fundraisers, which is where local people can set up fundraising pages, and for anything. So it might be for a skydive they're doing for Age UK, it might be for a bake sale they're doing or something like that, but they can set up and the money will go directly to you. Currently, we do have a couple of fundraisers set up on our page that are actually for local Age UK. So what we have to do is then transfer the money. I'm really happy to help people set up Facebook Donate. It can be quite tricky in terms of just getting the information right and also getting the page information right. But I'm really happy to help as much as I can, because it is really beneficial at the end of the day. The easier it is for people to give to you, particularly if they're already on social, the more likely they are to do so. So whilst it can be tricky to set up, I would recommend you all have a look if you have your Facebook pages. Like Facebook keep changing the details around what you have to do in terms of what you need from on your page in order to set it up. So I always try and get the latest information before I go back to partners. So if you want to give it a go and you're struggling, let me know, and I'll give you a shout. That is essentially my tips. I thought, because what normally happens in these webinars is there were quite a few questions because everyone is at a different stage with social media. So I'm more than happy to do a prolonged Q&A where I can answer as many of your questions as I've got time for. So thanks very much.
So if anyone has got any questions, do type them in the window now, and we'll get Tom on the case and rack his brains. While we're waiting, Tom, maybe you could tell us a bit about like one of the most recent sort of social campaigns that you've run for Age UK, and then kind of give people a bit of a steer as to how they could use that on a smaller scale for their local charities.
Sure. I mean, I guess the main one to speak about currently would be, hang on, I could show you, would be the Switched Off campaign we just did. So we've been working really hard in terms of getting people to sign our petition around TV licenses. And if I just show you now, we had some really amazing success with one of our posts, numbers I've never actually seen on a Facebook post before. So on this monologue we had of Ricky Tomlinson talking about TV licenses and why it's important we save it. Amazingly, we reached over 10 million people organically with this post. We had over 200,000 shares, and if I click into it, I think we had over 150,000 clicks through to the petition. Now, all of this kind of content will always be available for partners to use. If you ever see a video that we've used on our channels that we've made, so such as this, always more than welcome to make it available to you guys, for you guys to share. we've worked really hard in making sure that we get the timing right with this Switched Off campaign in terms of when we put out our content. So in the next couple of weeks, we've got some more videos. We've also got some letters sent in through from older people themselves who are saying that, you know, without this free TV license, they would be lost. So we're just putting together a sort of strategy in terms of how we put together this content. We're really pleased. I mean, we did not expect these numbers off the back of our social content for this campaign, but we managed to get the timing right in terms of when the news broke that they weren't going to keep it and that it was going to be means tested. We managed to have a look. We did a bit of keyword searching on Twitter, like I spoke about before, saw that people were quite angry with it. So instead of using some of the softer content that we had, we thought the best thing to do would be go straight in for this kind of hard hitting stuff. All of this will always be available for you, like I said, so never feel like you can't come and ask. We've got the email address socialmedia@aguk.org.uk. Always drop us an email and we can always send any kind of content through that you've seen that you'd like to use. And also always feel free just to share it straight from our page if that's easier for you. We can always provide track links as well if needs be, so that you can track any sort of link clicks through to your site. So yeah, Switched Off campaign is going really well. We've now gone over 500,000 signatures on that petition, and I think 47% of those have come from social traffic, which is great. So we're just going to keep going and hopefully see if we can make a difference.
Okay, thank you for that. In the meantime, we had some questions coming in. So the first one's from Jo Banks, and she said, "Hi, you mentioned the donate button. We're using the non-profit template for our Facebook page, so you should be able to access the donate button, but it's not appearing as an option. Any ideas or suggestions? Do we have to sign up to Facebook fundraising for this to be available?" I don't know if you can answer this here as a general thing, or if you might want to do it on a one-to-one basis with Jo. Let's see how you go.
Well, I'll give it a go. I mean, so we've currently got ours down as charitable organisation and not for profit. It seemed to change. I don't know when Facebook made the decision to change it from that. So we've got charitable organisation as who we are now, and not for profit. And that seems to have given us the donate button. Excuse me. I would recommend going through the Facebook donate process just so that you are properly linked up with all of their sort of donate payment processing, so that you're linked up with all their payment processings. But we've currently got it as charitable organisation. We did used to have it as a not-for-profit, and we did change it because it seemed that we were missing out on different features that other charities had. So I hope that helped.
Okay, thank you. If not, Jo, do let us know. We've also had one from Danielle Smith, and she said, "Do you think videos catch more people's attention rather than just the standard pictures and posts?"
Yeah, 100%. We try and use videos where we can. We've got a great video editor, Amy Wing, in our team, and when she creates a video for the website or for YouTube, we'll ask her to create a shorter, square version for social, because what we found is a video between a minute and 19 seconds, and 90 seconds really helps to capture our audience's attention. We found that our videos are more engaged with in terms of shares. So yeah, I would say, particularly in terms of any media we're going to try and use, it will always be a video if and when we can, for sure.
What's been your most successful video?
The Ricky Tomlinson one we just.
That one you just showed. Okay.
Yeah, I think the last views on that, I mean, they are only 3 seconds because Facebook counts as 3 second views. That was around 4.9 million, I think, which I've never. So minutes views we have 1 million. Yeah, so 3 second views are at 4.9 million, which 10 second views are 1.9 million. So it's the most. I've never seen video views like that on Facebook before. So yeah, that has certainly been our most successful one. And Amy Wing edited that together in about an hour. So yeah, amazing work, to be honest.
And just sort of taking a sidestep, so how did you get Ricky involved and then turn it into what it is?
So Ricky actually, I think, was quite. he did an interview somewhere and he was quite vocal on his support for Switched Off. So we got in contact with him and asked if he wouldn't mind doing a piece to camera and maybe interviewing some older people about why TV licenses would be so important. And he said yes. So we went up to Liverpool. We did half a day's filming with him. He was absolutely great. He's really, really passionate about him. We told him how well this content has done, and he actually was so delighted with it. He went down in person and attended a demonstration in Manchester the other week in support of our petition, where actually we got him to do another quick little thank you video, which I added as a comment underneath a few days later, which was equally as engaging as that one. So yeah, I mean, he's been really great, and he's been really up for doing everything and anything we've asked of him so far. It's been really good.
Okay, thanks. We've got another question from Joe. It says, is it necessary to spend money on boosting posts, or should we be aiming for more organic reach?
So organic reach on Facebook is really hard to come by. We've seen a real drop off, aside from the Switched Off aside, we've seen a real drop off in terms of reach organically. What we've started to do is every other post, if it's Age UK related, because we do a lot of inspiring stories that are not specifically Age UK related, but if the post is around Age UK related content, we'll put a minimal amount of spend on it. So we're talking like 10-15 pounds just to give it that additional little boost into people's news feeds. We're not going for massive spends of like 100-200 pounds or anything like that, but just a little bit of money just so Facebook thinks, okay, they want people to see this. We have found that that has made a difference in terms of getting that post in front of people, and also we've been able to do a bit more targeting as well, because when you boost something you can obviously target it. So if you were to do that, you could also ensure that the people who you were targeting were just in your local area, so you're not wasting any money or any impressions on people that live miles away who happen to follow your page.
Okay, and a question that you might already have covered, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So in terms of like Google Grants, where there's kind of money put aside for for charitable organisations, does the same thing exist within Twitter and Facebook? Is there a kind of fund or affiliated schemes?
Not really. When if you have Facebook Donate and the Facebook fundraiser set up, Facebook will donate, I think it's £2 to every fundraiser page you have set up. But in terms of there being a grant where you can get money set aside for promotions and things like that, it's not really a thing with Facebook and Twitter, unfortunately.
Got to ask, just in case.
Exactly.
So we've got one more question from Sue, and she said, how effective are repetitive or very similar posts on Facebook? She says several members of staff can post, and one department likes to promote its activity with promotions that are nearly identical. Does that make sense?
So frequency of similar posts is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, particularly on Twitter, we have sort of a bank of posts from our fundraising team and our events team, and we do use them regularly, maybe once every week of those kind. But I would not say, basically, you never want to have a news feed on Facebook where if you scroll down your page, you're seeing the same thing again and again and again. You will always want some variety in it, because people aren't going to engage with the same thing more than once if they see it within the same week, for example. So there's nothing wrong with using the same content more than once if it's worked well, but I wouldn't recommend continually putting out the same thing day after day or week after week.
Okay. We've had another question from Joe. Joe Banks has got two on the call. She said, you've just mentioned timing. Do you have any tips around scheduling posts and tweets, or is there a better time of the day to push out content?
So in the Insights tab in Facebook, if you go and have a look at the Posts tab, you'll see here there's this graph which shows what time most of your audience is online during one particular day of the week. So interesting, ours has completely done a flip. We used to have our highest point at 6 p.m, but now we've seen it's around midday lunchtime. So what we've done is we've changed the times we post and made it around lunchtime, which has made a difference in how much engagement we get initially, because previously we were doing evening posts, but we were seeing a drop off, so we had a look at this and it's completely changed round. So yeah, have a look in your insights tab, have a look underneath the post tab and see on this graph where people are most online every day. With Twitter it's slightly different. So the way we do it with Twitter is we do schedule things, but we try and use the trending hashtags of the day as well. Anything we can kind of shoehorn in, I mean, as long as it's not too ridiculous, to try and get that content out there. And then we also look at what are they called, like days of the week, not days of the week, days of the month, things like that. So if there's a week, if it's like scams week or something like that, we'll get content ready for that. So I think this week it's World Wellness Week, so we've got the well-being index that we're going to push out later this week and use that hashtag to try and get our content out there to people who haven't necessarily seen it.
Okay, thank you. So so basically you're just saying you've got to watch every case is specific to that organization, and things will happen at their own pace and you've just got to follow it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has a different audience, so not every audience is going to be the same. So it's always good to have a look and see what your audience is doing and when they're most online.
Okay. Jo's got another question as well. She said, we're just about to start a HIV awareness campaign. Given that your comments about drop off on organic reach on Facebook would suggest Twitter, is there a better platform? Given your comments about drop off on organic reach on Facebook, would you suggest Twitter is a better platform to get the message out?
I would definitely suggest that. I would have a look. I think there is actually a HIV awareness day at some point during the year as well, but I would definitely have a look, do some searches around what people are saying and what hashtags are being used, and have a look at what other charities who talk about things like that are using, and then start using those hashtags when pushing out your content. It's much easier to reach an audience that are going to be interested in that sort of content on Twitter than it is on Facebook, because Facebook is so much more closed off, and if you don't have the likes on your page and people aren't sharing your content, then you're essentially only talking to the people that like your page. Whereas with Twitter, get that out there, start talking to people and say, hey, have you seen our new campaign? And from there you'll find that you'll get a lot more engagement, I think, than you would do on Facebook for sure.
Okay, thank you for that. If anyone else has got any other questions, I think we've covered quite a lot, but here's your sort of like final chance. As I say, this presentation will go on the Digital Hub later in the week. I guess if I've got a final question for Tom, if you had one specific hint that you've already given us three, but one kind of golden thing you could say about social media, what would it be?
It would be keep those accounts active. If you have those accounts there, they need to be active. You need to be posting on there almost daily, preferably daily, if not weekly, just so that there's fresh content up there. If people come and search out your account, you want it to look like you're there using it, so you've given them a reason to follow. If they go there and it looks like it hasn't been used in a couple of weeks or maybe a month, they're going to think, well, there's no point in following that because nothing actually happens on here. So it would be keep those accounts active, keep the content going, keep it as a nice steady flow. Doesn't matter if you use the same thing, once in the space of 10 days, twice in the space of 10 days. Just make sure that there's stuff out there and that, it looks like an active community where you're engaging with people on there and putting up content on a regular basis.
Okay, I have sort of like another question, just to stamp all over that. So from my perspective, in terms of the websites and the content that we put there, I would say that we want, although you're sharing other people's awareness about, say, HIV or dementia awareness or whatever, I would say I want the social feeds to feed back into the Age UK websites. I mean, that's coming from my perspective. Again, if that's something we've already covered, but is that where you'd also agree?
Yeah, totally. One of our KPIs is how much traffic can we drive from social to the website. We work closely with the content team here in terms of when there are new campaigns or when new articles or new pages have gone up. We work closely with them to make sure that we put out content linking people to that content and trying to drive them back to the site. Because once they're there, they can go wherever from there. So yeah, but a lot of our work is around driving people from our social channels to the site for sure, definitely.
Okay, and then just based on that, we've had two questions that are kind of similar. So from Sue Lidith and Rebecca Jacob, and they're just basically saying how many posts a day are there? Can there be too many? And Rebecca said the same thing about Twitter. What's too many, or is it again based on looking at your stats to see, if you are putting out too many?
Yeah. So we go for the rule of we have 3 tweets a day. On a normal day, we have 3 tweets a day, 1 Facebook post, 1 or 2 LinkedIn posts a week, and then 2 to 3 Instagram posts a week. The Facebook and Twitter ones are the ones we stick to most stringently, so we'll try and have a Facebook post every day, and we'll try and stick to at least 3 tweets a day. Tweets are normally scheduled around 11 a.m. lunchtime and then rush hour time, because that's when we've seen the best engagement. But to be honest, with Twitter, it's fluid every day. We never see the same. We never really see the same kind of engagement at the similar time. It's more around the content and who picks it up. So definitely there is, particularly on Facebook, if you over post on Facebook per day, you'll get punished because it just looks like you're spamming your audience. Twitter, you can be a lot more fluid. If we're at an event, for example, we might send out 7, 8, 9 tweets covering that event, and we'll do it as a thread so people can read through the whole day, the whole event. But on a normal day, we'll do 3 tweets. That's what we normally stand for. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. I think we've probably exhausted everyone's questions now. So thank you very much, Tom.